that hot mess that they air in the mornings called The View had to issue not one, not two, not three, but 4 corrections, legal corrections, 4 legal notes. Not to mention what they did at that debate, where once again, they tried to fact check only one side. And then when their fact checks got fact checked, they cowered. They cowered in fear. I mean, this is a pattern with them.
I think the problem with that show is that show has this very specific ideological bubble in which they operate in, you know, and they always bring on a token conservative woman and they yell over her and silence her. And, you know, they did that with Megyn McCain.
You might think The View owns every bit of daytime drama, but guess what? They don't. Joe Rogan and Megyn Kelly teamed up and threw a blow so fierce it left The View's panel scrambling to hold themselves together. It was a rough moment for them. If you ever believed they were beyond criticism, this is the wake-up call you didn't see coming. Stay right here as we break down how Rogan and Kelly completely shook the so-called queens of daytime TV. You're definitely not going to want to miss this.
Nothing
Just
there.
go for it. Yeah,
there's nothing there. Sometimes comics do that.
Yeah, and
for fun.
The other question is then, is that representative of a big constituency? I think probably yes.
Well, a lot of
MSNBC viewers are probably also thinking,
I don't even think the MSNBC viewers, I think they're a little bit more sophisticated than that.
Yeah.
This is like low information, blue no matter who, like older housewives who are mad at the world. That's the appeal that Whoopi Goldberg.
It all starts with the usual spectacle. The View falling into full meltdown mode. 5 adults shouting over each other like a wild scene that spiraled completely out of control. Joy Behar jumps into what feels like her 15th moral panic of the day. Whoopi looks like she's secretly trying to solve a puzzle on scrap paper. And Sunani Hen seems to be debating the laws of reality itself. No one listens. Everyone interrupts. And the audience cheers anytime someone tosses out words like empowerment or democracy. If chaos ever earned its own time slot, this would be the show leading it.
Donald Trump will be sworn in as the 47th president of the United States, yay, on January 20th of this month. Not everyone's happy about it, and many people would like us to be more focused on the insurrection that he personally unleashed. If you ask them, as we discussed earlier, they think it's as bad as like the Holocaust, and you don't have to take my word for it. Here is Sunny Hostin.
January 6th was an atrocity. It was one of the worst moments in American history. And when you think about the worst moments in American history, you know, like World War II, things that happened, you know, like the Holocaust, chattel slavery.
Yeah, the January 6th is right up there next to the Holocaust.
If you're enjoying this takedown, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Somewhere inside all that noise, someone tries to form an actual thought, but it gets swallowed instantly by nonstop crosstalk, exaggerated gasps, and a perfectly timed side-eye from Ana Navarro, sharp enough to curdle milk. It isn't a debate, and it's definitely not a real conversation. It feels more like group therapy pretending to be television mixed with pure imagination. It's a polished echo chamber glowing under studio lights, and you can almost sense the smugness drifting off the screen like a scented cloud of self-importance.
In fairness, though, I mean, The View has to be, you know, if you average out The View hosts, among the dumbest people on television. And so it's like they say the thing that people are thinking, but they say it very directly, so they expose whatever truth. But
I don't think some of them are dumb.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think Sunny Hostin's
You think it's deliberate?
dumb. I think she's ideologically driven, and they have blinders on, for sure. I don't think Sunny's dumb. But Whoopi is certainly not the brightest person, and what she just said just doesn't make any sense. It's just like so silly to say. It's not a well thought out. It's like if you had an idea for a premise and you like it was totally baked and half baked, and you went on stage with it and just it's nothing.
Joe Rogan steps in like a human lie detector with a microphone, not by yelling, but with that calm, steady energy of someone who has taken enough hits in life to see straight through nonsense. This is the same man who has interviewed astronauts, monks, scientists, and even people convinced mysterious creatures secretly run the world. And yet even he looks at The View and basically says, I can't believe this is real. It's wild to watch him stay so relaxed while pointing out how unreal their entire performance feels. Then Megyn Kelly steps in, her heels clicking like a media warrior ready for battle. The same woman mainstream networks couldn't handle, with Fox thinking she was too sharp and NBC realizing she dared to ask real follow-up questions, making both of them retreat like uneasy beginners. Now she's carrying a MIC, solid receipts, and a daytime TV hypocrisy list that reads like a full target sheet. And she doesn't just criticize. She slices through egos with such careful precision that she displays them on her podcast like intellectual trophies.
They're disgusting. She's Anna Navarro in your wildest imagination. You could never solo host a show. You will only ever make it as part of an ensemble, and you could never hope to achieve the success that Tucker Carlson has. So you can sit in your little cheap seats all day long and enjoy your little negative henpecking, but your careers are going nowhere, and Tucker is about to dominate in whatever space he...
Rogan and Kelly turn into a tag team strong enough to send any PR team into panic. And while Joy Bohau is still trying to figure out how to spell authoritarian, Rogan calmly breaks apart their entire argument by explaining that they barely research what they shout about, laughing in that, "I can't believe these people have airtime" way that instantly turns their segment into a clumsy improved class at a quiet retreat. Meanwhile, Megyn Kelly cuts through their contradictions like she's wandering through a gallery of media mistakes, raising one eyebrow and lowering the View's credibility by 20 full points, where Rogan becomes the hammer of simple logic and Megyn turns into the scalpel, slicing through pretense, tone-deaf outrage, and whatever Anna Navarro insists is a complete viewpoint. Even one sharp moment of her commentary leaves Whoopi Goldberg blinking rapidly, almost like she's trying to send Morse code to Barbara Walters' ghost.
That hot mess that they air in the mornings, called The View, had to issue not one, not two, not three, but 4 corrections, legal corrections. 4 legal notes. We only have 3 of them on camera, but look at this.
I have another legal note.
Oh, my God.
Both Trump and Pam Bondi have denied allegations of a quid pro quo. I have a legal note.
You want to take this one, Joy, or are you
Matt
good?
Gaetz has long denied all allegations and has not been charged with any crime.
That's true.
Also, another legal note. Pete Hegseth's lawyer said he paid the woman in 2023 to head off the threat of a baseless lawsuit. He has denied any wrongdoing.
Not to mention what they did at that debate, where once again, they tried to fact check only one side, and then when their fact checks got fact checked, they cowered. They cowered in fear. I mean, this is a pattern.
The View believed they were untouchable, floating for years inside a protected media bubble where the main requirement for airtime was remembering the Clinton years and pretending to hold endless moral authority. But that bubble popped the moment Rogan and Kelly stepped in, needing zero approval from old-school media to call out nonsense. They don't care about Emmy trophies or polite applause from brunch crowds. They care about truth, or at least not acting like louder voices equal better arguments. So when they arrived with facts, logic, and a heavy dose of irony, The View had no chance. It was like showing up to a fencing match with a tiny kazoo. Rogan and Kelly didn't just take the remote. They reset the entire show. And then came the spark, the moment The View lit a match on a stage soaked in gasoline, entering a rare level of chaos for a show that treats facts like optional toppings at a salad bar. Their new target was Robert F. Kennedy Jr., and they mocked him, dismissed his ideas without even doing a simple search, and rolled their eyes like someone asked them to explain basic civics, showing a level of unified disdain that looked precise yet completely empty of substance.
Interesting, because I think Sunny is very intelligent, but she's ideologically captured.
Right.
You know, I think the other ones, there's a couple of the other ones, don't have to name any names, who are just very dull-minded. But I think Sunny's not one of them. I think she's smart, but captured.
Sure, I think she came into it with an agenda.
Of course.
You know,
they do everything with an agenda.
They didn't stop there. Not even close. They tossed the idea of free speech straight into the flames, acting as if any opinion outside their studio-approved worldview was some kind of crime, insisting that podcast hosts are dangerous, misleading, and somehow threats to democracy simply because they let guests finish a full sentence. Then Joe Rogan delivered a full roast without ever raising his voice, bringing that slow, steady logic mixed with a raised eyebrow that cuts through nonsense, carving up their segment like a calm Sunday meal, sharp, steady, and absolutely devastating. He pointed out the obvious. The hosts aren't watching the content they criticize. They are not checking facts, and they are not even trying, serving up performative outrage wrapped in cheap moral perfume. Rogan compared it to someone loudly reviewing a movie they never watched while completely out of it, a description that perfectly matches The View's usual editorial routine. It's not about informing viewers. It's about feeding whatever narrative earns the loudest applause from the studio crowd.
Melania Trump came out and said she's about as pro-choice as they come. And here was the reaction on The View.
I think she hates him.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Okay, so we can all
That's a
agree on
given.
that. That's a given. I also think that she wants to take him out. She does not want to be the first lady anymore.
They agree with you.
She doesn't want to be the first lady. She destroyed the Rose Garden. Who hates Christmas? Melania Trump hates Christmas. She doesn't want to decorate for Christmas. She doesn't want anything to do with him. She doesn't want to sleep in the same room with him. She can't tolerate him.
Would you look? This is a network that still runs out fact checks to these women, like it's concerned about them staying factual. She hates Trump. She doesn't want to be near him. She doesn't want to be president again. She destroyed the Rose Garden, and she hates Christmas. That is what passes for news on a network. They did a presidential debate.
He didn't go for cheap shots. He didn't need to. Rogan used their own words, their own contradictions, and their own unintended comedy to expose them, laying out quotes, timestamps, and basic facts like a seasoned lawyer presenting final arguments. His tone wasn't angry. It had the calm disappointment of a teacher catching an entire class copying from the same website, mocking their laziness with surprising ease as he showed how they skim headlines, repeat quick posts, and act like real research is some kind of impossible task. It wasn't rage. It was polite destruction wrapped in sharp sarcasm and delivered with a quiet smile. And just as the slow-motion breakdown began to settle, Megyn Kelly stepped in with the force of a controlled explosion, sharpening her voice instead of raising it as she took apart their broadcast piece by piece like a lawyer bored with grading a beginner assignment. If Rogan brought clarity, Megyn brought a set of crisp receipts and a blowtorch, jumping in to highlight how everything is offensive unless they are the ones saying it, which is the exact formula that keeps The View running. One moment they panic over someone saying men can't get pregnant, and the next they laugh at political opponents like they are running a comedy roast.
I have no hate for Joy Behar. If I saw her, I'd give her a hug. I'd probably say the same thing about me if I was her. You're worried about losing your job, and you're worried about podcasts taking over, and who's the source of news, and we said Donald Trump was Hitler, but half the country disagreed with us, and he won, and this is fucking great, and Joe Rogan believes in dragons. Do you see what Whoopi Goldberg said?
What'd she say?
Whoopi Goldberg said that Biden could arrest all the Republicans and put them in jail. You just need to see how unhinged this kind of thinking is. Well, you know what Joe Biden could do? Joe Biden, you have to see it because it's so
on TV.
crazy.
She said
on television.
You know, just let's look at a scenario where the Supreme Court says, yes, he has all those rights. He is immune from everything.
Yeah.
You know what Joe Biden could do since he is presently president?
What?
Whoa. He could throw every Republican in jail.
Yeah.
According to Megyn, free speech only counts if it passes through a panel coated in daytime television privilege. And she saved her strongest critiques for Joy Behar and Sunny Host. Megyn held nothing back. Joy, the living eye roll emoji of the show, was called out for acting like the grand voice of progressivism while delivering takes that would make real feminists want earplugs. And Sunny, yes, Sunny. Megyn sliced through her polished lawyer-turned-daytime diva attitude with total precision. She tore apart their fake moral confidence like a storm tearing through a warehouse stacked with hypocrisy, exposing how the show treats any different opinion, especially from women, as betrayal, turning disagreement into a threat against sisterhood, creating a round table that feels more like emotional hostage-keeping, where the only safe answer is whatever Whoopi said moments earlier. But the roasting didn't stop with personalities. It turned surgical once the facts appeared. Because here's the twist. While The View relies on emotional half-takes, Rogan and Megyn arrive with real research, showing full transcripts, proper context, and even reading past the headline like it's some kind of rare skill. It was a collision between shallow outrage and actual preparation, and Megyn made sure every contrast showed.
I don't know these people.
Hey, this is the most important part. This is right after she was saying, we are run by ABC News. You should trust us, not Joe Rogan, who believes in dragons. So she by saying we should trust them because they're double checked by ABC News, and then making the stupidest fucking statement. Like you didn't listen to what I said.
Yeah.
You didn't listen to what the wildlife biologist, and that's only a part of what he said.
They started matching The View's claims with real events, and it turned embarrassing fast. For example, The View labeled a certain podcast episode as dangerous, only for Megyn to play clips, proving it was nothing more than a calm discussion about nutrition and cold plunges. Truly shocking material. And when Joy insisted Rogan was promoting hate, a quick 32-second fact check revealed it was simply a military veteran talking about PTSD and meditation. The horror. Megyn didn't just point it out. She buried them under real context, while Joe, completely steady, had already taken apart their whole worldview without even breaking a sweat. The contrast was brutal. Rogan and Kelly sounded thoughtful, researched, and nuanced, while The View kept sneering at long-form podcasts, acting like 3-hour conversations are impossible for viewers who they assume only want 10-second emotional bursts squeezed between ads for joint pain cream and debt relief. Megyn and Joe weren't just responding, they were exposing. And while The View hid behind applause signs and practiced righteousness, Rogan and Kelly held up mirrors, painfully honest, sharply funny, and totally unforgiving, right before The View dove headfirst into teaching a full masterclass on misinformation while claiming it was the truth.